Okay, so this will be the first in a series of maybe 1 or 2, 3, something like that, videos of repairing the new set of wheels. We're with Dan. He's fixing stuff. When he's not installing hardwood flooring, he's doing collision repair. Picked this car up. It's a Ford Fiesta 2011. Little Econo box. Not bad though. 40,000 kilometers. It's a SEL, so it's got rims, so you know it's good. It's actually pretty well equipped inside for a cheap car, and got it for next to nothing because obviously it was hit. So basically now we've just started stripping the bumper and the fender off. The damaged door was pulled off. It got kind of punched in here, as you can see, and the damage isn't bad. The tie rod end needs to be changed on this side as well as something else suspension related. The door was damaged. The back door took a little bit of damage, which is going to be repaired. It punched in right here. It was previously hack job repaired with a lot of body filler right here. And these posts were punched in, so we're going to give them a little pull and bring them back out. It wasn't actually, the post isn't moved, but just where the hinges sit was pushed in a bit. So we're just going to yank those back out to where they should be. Pretty minor. A little window broke. And otherwise, that's it. Front bumper. So going to kind of take you through this repair and cleaning and whatnot. Car runs perfect. Came with one key, so I'm going to have to do something about that. It's got the Ford ambient lighting. You change the colors in that gross little glove box, and also it changes them under the on the seats. That's kind of cool. It's got heated seats. Just basic temperature in this one, no climate because it's a 2011. Sirius satellite radio. Surprisingly, it has an auto dimming mirror, and it's a tilt telescopic steering wheel. Power windows, locks, mirrors. Well, one mirror now, the other one was smashed off. But we're going to get going here, and I'll show you a few pulls and, a quick little garage blitz job to put this car back on the road. All right, so we got a few wraps here of the old hinge. The old hinge is no good anyway, so we're just going to try to pull it till it's visually straight. And then we can make adjustments later if need be once the door's on. Okay, so we just got the car in the shop. Getting ready to do some pulls down here and some pulls here with the stud welder. We'll clean it up first with the sander. I'm gonna use, my shop is a freaking mess right now. I'm gonna use the DA sander and just burn that down. Probably with some 120, 80 grit, burn all that down. Doesn't bother me. So we just put a little marker line on here to be able to know where to stud weld and pull, because there's a little bit of a body line that's supposed to be there that's been flattened out. So these studs are put on here so a slide hammer can be attached and that body line can be pulled out as it's dented in right now, and if you just pack that with filler, you'd end up having a car made of body filler. Okay, so we're doing a pretty good job here pulling it out. Quite a few studs have had to be welded, but they're coming along, and it's pulling it out to where it needs to be. After that's done, we'll grind these off, clean it up with the DA sander a little bit more, and then get ready to start putting some filler over all of it. Okay, so we got the filler all on. The stud weld's all cut off and a little filler put on everything. And what we did there is because there was a little bit of like micro holes in that, and the metal's so thin. This car's been in an accident before, so it was a little stretched. So we put this fiberglass short strand over all the pulled areas to help reinforce it, but to help give it a waterproof backing. So pulled out the little bit of damage on the door. And next we're gonna smooth out this fiberglass because it's a little chunky looking, and then go over it with coat of lightweight. Alright, so after the stud welding and the grinding off the stud welds and the cleaning up, feathering the paint, we got a little layer of filler here over everything, all the way down to match in with the old filler from the previous repair. So it's all there. We got the door filled at the bottom and a couple little dents that we pulled on the post filled. And the dents on the post were caused by when the door pushed in, they pushed on a couple spots. Luckily not bending the post over, but just enough to cause some cosmetic damage. Okay, so this is all sanded out now. Everything's nice and smooth, lines up pretty good. Quarter patch is done on that door there. And these are still the way they were before. Now I'm gonna go over all of it with a little bit of glazing putty. Stuff here. I'm gonna use a bit of that, and we're gonna go over everything once and smooth it right out, any little pinholes or sand scratches or anything like that. Okay, so we got a coat of glazing putty over all of it now. The next step is just to lightly sand it all out, block that glazing putty, and then shoot the primer. And then I'll, just because of here, I'm gonna put a little guide coat, try sanding that guide coat out just to make sure we don't have any wobblies in this part of the panel, and maybe down here, just make sure there's no wobblers down there either, just something that'll catch your eye as the light goes across it. So I put some guide coat over all of it, and you can see I started sanding this here. And I don't know if you could tell in the video, but there's some guide coat left here showing that that is a bit of a low spot. So continue to block it flat until we get rid of the small low spots in the glazing putty. We're gonna shoot a 2K primer over it. I had to reglaze this part of the door here. There was just a couple problems I didn't like. And then that front post is just getting sanded out. Scuffed, ready for primer. Most of this is scuffed because the primer is only really going to run in this area, so I'll scuff down a little lower once I get to here, and then I'll show a little bit of that primer getting shot on there, and then that primer gets blocked out to really get this thing smooth, so the paint will go on and everything will look straight. Okay, so here's where we're at. We sprayed on some primer. Obviously taped off the bumper. We don't want to touch this bumper. There's no damage to the car beyond that. But we sprayed all this out with a 2K primer. Got that all taken care of. Had a bit of a paint line here, so I just feathered it out for now. And then it'll be a guide coat over that and a blocking before the actual base coat gets laid out there. So you can kind of see how the base coat's going to be there, and it's going to be blended into the door here. This door here was ordered as a used part, same color, because the other one was trashed. This post is all primered up, pretty good shape. No more dents or issues. So that'll be the same thing, and I'll just burn the clear end down here somewhere, and probably just either burn it in or just have a tape line up there where you're not going to see it anyway, because there's a little window here that covers all this. So that's about where we're at for now, and the next step is to base and clear this area, burn the clear in, get the hinges bolted on, and get the door fitted. Because since the door's already the same color as the car, I don't have to paint the back side of the door, which is kind of a bonus. So get to that next, and I'll probably do a little bit of jamming too at the same time, and just paint the couple little jam areas that need to be done. All right, so the primer has dried. We've blocked it out. We're now taping off the car. A couple interesting tape areas here. What we're doing is, first of all, the windows are taped off, the door handle's taken off so we can get in behind it. All the whole car has been scuffed, all the clear. So the shine and the gloss is gone. It's all been cleaned really well. and everything's been taped off. Now we're just gonna lay plastic over the car to protect the rest of the car over against overspray. And what's gonna happen is the base coat's gonna start here and go up like this. Then the base coat's gonna start at this line here and go on over. And then it's gonna be like a second coat of base, a little bit more, and a second coat of base, a little bit more, and then the third coat of base, just over all of it again, but just dusting up into the panel. So there'll be a really mild fade. But because the front door is being painted in entirely, when I do the first coat, I'm not only gonna run it from down here and over, but I'm also gonna run it up. That way, we'll have 3 coats here, 3 coats here, approximately 2 coats here, approximately 1 coat here. That way, the color change or any potential color mismatch, which there always is, will be invisible. And then this door is being painted full, and the fender's being painted full, and the bumper's being painted full. So the only things you may see a small difference in color would be from the top of the fender to the hood, or top of the fender to here, but because they're not panels sitting next to each other like this, it won't matter. You see a car go down the road with a different color quarter panel, door, fender, what have you, it looks like garbage. So that's kind of the goal. We've sprayed on, resprayed on the factory look chip guard on the bottom. It's kind of hard to see because it's white, but it's going to give it, or it's beige, but it's going to give it that texture and a chip guard. And we're ready to go. This area here is going to be for the clear coat blend. So once I blend my base out, nice, I'm going to blend it out a little further. Then once I'll put my first couple coats of clear on, staying away from this paper, and then I've got this little flap here I can pull back and do my burn in with the clear. We've back taped the door so the edge gets sprayed, again, because the panel beside it is going to be painted full. So, okay, so just a little bit about products here. I don't want to get too in depth into it because I'm really not showing you a how-to video on how to paint a car and bodywork and that. There are better videos than what I'd be able to produce, as I don't do this for a living. So I'll do absolute how-to videos when I have the know-how and the years of experience, we'll say, on a particular subject. But this automobile is just for myself, and you know, I've done a fair amount of car painting in the last I'll say 15 years or so, but this is just some of the products I like to use anyway. So first is we'll just talk about the base coat quickly. The base coat I'm picking up is just from a local paint supply store. I'm going to pick up the base coat, make sure there's not an extreme variance, matching a chip to a piece of the body that I have. But this is the clear coat I'll be using over that. It is an overall clear coat. Finish 1 it's called. This is a half decent clear coat, at least what I found. I've had good success with this. This is a Sherwin-Williams product, and like I said, I've had no issues with it. It seems to work pretty well for me. This is the hardener. This is a medium hardener. This is for like we'll call it an average temperature when you're spraying. So you have to mix these two and you spray them over your clear coat, which I'll be blending, and I'll show you about that in just a little bit here. But this medium hardener, there's also a fast and a slow available, and you'll buy those depending on the temperature. Check with the data sheets. They'll tell you what temperatures they're good for, and generally the way my shop's set up, I've had good success with medium hardener on any paint repairs. And then I have this product here. It's a fade out spray or a clear burn-in spray. I find it's easy out of the aerosol, but you can just buy a product that you can throw into a gun and fade it on. And it's for when you're blending your area and you have a clear coat blend, and you kind of stop your clear and you fan it out, and then you take this and you just spray it over between your blend and your new clear and your old clear, and it kind of helps burn everything in, and then you can do a bit of a buff, and it'll kind of smooth it all out and make the blend disappear, if you will. So these are the products I'll be using on that on the green Ford, and next thing we're gonna do is base and clear that door pillar so I can get the door installed. Okay, so we got a first coat of base on, really wet right now still. Just a nice dusting right now, and then the next coat we're gonna put over the exact same area, but start to blend it out a little bit and start blending into this door area. The first coat I decided not to do. I'm probably gonna end up doing four coats, so just starting to do some blendage now. Oh yeah, after your base, let it dry, tack cloth. You're gonna get some stray dust off of that thing. So that's where we're at right now. It's been drying for about 15 minutes. It's all ready to go. Quick tack cloth. Okay, it's pretty bad in here right now, dusty. I'm quickly running in to show you a video. There's the door and the rear quarter sprayed out. Everything turned out pretty good. I'm fairly pleased. You know, of course, dust because we're in an old shop here, but not much we can do for dust. Wet sand and polish, as we always do, and it'll come out pretty nice. All right, so here's where we're at. Paint's dry, back on the ground. Basically ready for assembly. Poor thing is covered in dust. Everything turned out really good so far. You know, don't comment on the sloppy work here with the overspray. It's getting replaced. I didn't bother with that. This connector, that's a different story. I kind of oversprayed that a little, so I guess you can give me shit for that connector and that hole. But otherwise, though, everything came out nice. The panel is straight as can be. Wow, it is really straight, considering how mangled it was. So save some money, fix the back door, fix the quarter. It's pretty straight. It's got a pretty darn nice finish on it. I'm not gonna be able to really show you the orange peel, but it's pretty much, oh, that's a good one right there. You can see it's pretty much non-existent. Little bit of dust, and of course the panel was sprayed. Just to show you, down at the bottom there, that's just a shadow. Okay, it looks worse than a shadow, but that is just, oh, there it goes. That's just a shadow there. So that's not as crappy as it looks. So what was sprayed was the door was sprayed, the entire rocker was sprayed with a tape line. The front hinge post was sprayed, dog's leg, rear quarter panel, and up the sail panel and all the way down to here. I didn't want to do I plan on keeping the car for a few years at least, so I didn't want to do a clear burn-in blend like I did down there up here in case the UV kills it, which is known to happen. So we pulled that out better, so it's less packed than it was before. In the earlier part of this video, you would have seen it be pretty packed, but again, the finish came out pretty nice. You know, you can see that there's dust, but that's about it. And you know, if you saw this place, it's a freaking mess. There's obviously going to be dust. So the only thing left to do now is basically do a quick color sand and knock down any little dust nibs and a polish. And it's ready for the other components to be prepped and installed. So Project Fiesta parts have arrived. Obviously we get the back painted up, and I've kind of thrown this fender on here just for fun. I've received the new key I ordered, uncut key. I'm gonna cut it, program it for the car, since the car only came with one key, and that's never a good idea. You know, some good, some bad here with these parts. Again, paint finish is nice, everything looks good, but bumper came in, everything good with the bumper. I'll tell you, if you guys are working on a Fiesta, parts are not cheap right now. It's April April 13th, 2014. Parts are pretty steeply priced for these right now. I guess just the availability and lack of aftermarket. So I got my two fender liners here in the mess. I got my one front grille, my front grille surround, mirror. This is a little apron splash guard that goes between the lower rad support and the bumper. That kind of holds everything together, so that's important. The chrome surround, that goes over that and all pops into the bumper for this trim since it had the chrome front. Side glass, inner tie rod, outer tie rod, strut, rack boot, strut bearing, door hinges, and here's the lovely thing I got to open today. Everything else came in and everything was perfect. I had 16 packages and everything was great except for the door. Wow, look at this door. This door was purchased as good condition, good door. Yeah, wobble wobble, dent dent. Oh, shipping damage, dent. Like I understand shipping damage occurs. It's just a way of life, but like this, for example, is pushed out. That's not shipping damage. These are pushed in. These were not shipping damage. You can see where the box was rubbing. The box wasn't damaged, except for the bottom was a little scuffed. So this is kind of like an eBay special, and I guess serves me right for buying from eBay. But what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna straighten those lips on the bottom of the door right now. This door needs a few hours of bodywork minimum before it's even ready to roll. So I'm gonna strip those down. I'm gonna temporarily install the door hinges because they still have to be painted, but I'm going to temporarily install them, mount the door, make sure everything lines up right, make sure the fender lines up right, get out my stud welder again, correct these dents, pull out the dents, shrink the metal, all that fun stuff, start getting bodywork done on that. And while the bodywork's drying and setting up and all that fun jazz, I'm going to start getting the suspension fixed on this side of the car. And I'll get the camera back on for that so you can see that. But otherwise, that's what I'm going to do right now. I'm going to mount these hinges. I'm going to put that door on just to make sure everything lines up the way it should. Okay, so there's a little light at the end of the dark door tunnel. Everything fit pretty good. The door was bowed out here. I had to grab it with my knee and pull it in. It's still not perfect, but it's pretty good. And the door lines up good with the other door. Gaps are good. Everything looks okay. So I'm going to begin pound this outie in, pull these innies out here and here, and then I got one down there, and then of course the bottom of the door. Kind of a bummer, but you know, it is what it is. So I got the dents pulled out, the stud welds ground off. Just take the door handle off, grab a T15, just little Torx. And there's a little cap right here, right beside the handle. You pull that off and you'll see way deep inside there's a little Torx. Well, not that deep inside, but deep enough. And what you do is you don't remove this Torx, you just loosen it. You can get your driver on it. I had it before I put the camera on. There it is. And I'll give it a twist. It's just hand tightened. If you over tighten this when you put it back in, apparently the door will bind. I got this info out of the service manual. It was a bit of a complicated procedure in the service manual, so I would recommend you know, just kind of doing what I'm showing you here if this works. And then this little cap will pull off. That just pops off, so it's pretty easy. And then this handle here, all you do is you just pull out. Again, need two hands to do it, so just pull out, wiggle, and that'll come out, and then that unhinges, and then it goes back in the same way. So it's just a pressure fit kind of system. So I've feathered it now down with the DA. You can't feel any transition. It's pretty smooth. The paint was pretty thin on the car, so I'm gonna go ahead and put some lightweight body filler on that. Okay, well, I'm not gonna lie, I might have been a little dramatic about the damage to the door. It's not quite as bad as I thought. Like, you know, it's still not great. Like, come on. That's crap. But anyway, I've been working on it for about half an hour here at the most, maybe 20 minutes. And it's pretty much all ready for the body filler to be blocked. It actually come out pretty smooth. The slide hammer did a good job. So I'm gonna do that. It doesn't look like I'm gonna get to the suspension today because I'd really, really like to get this thing into paint, because that's something where, you know, I need a decent amount of time to do it. And, you know, properly clean it, scuff it, prep it and all that. And I know today I have that kind of time. It's still only right now about, I don't know, it's gotta be around noon. Yeah, 12:15. So I'm gonna try to get into paint today. Paint these, the bumper cover, the fender, the mirror cap, and the door, and then reassemble it. I've decided that since the hinges are galvanized, I'm not going to paint them, and reason being is it took me a while to get this door to fit properly, and I don't want to scuff it up when it's complete, so I'm just going to back tape it and paint it. You know, again, this is an inexpensive job for an inexpensive car. Like, I think by now, parts were expensive though for what it was supposed to be an inexpensive job, but I think right now, including the purchase of the car, I'm into this car for about $6,000. And I look around in Canada with something with this kind of miles, like this has 40,000 kilometers, so whatever that is, 30,000, 28,000 miles, something like that for the Americans. Anything I can find in these SELs, which is the, you know, we'll call it the best of the worst, the fully loaded Fiesta. These are selling for about 10.8 right now. Was the cheapest one I could find, and that had 101,000 kilometers, or, you know, whatever, 80,000 miles or whatever, so 70 something thousand miles. So you know, price wise, I'm doing good on the car. So you know, I'd like for it to be good, but, you know, a little dicker here or there. You know, I'm not fixing this up to sell it. I'm fixing it up to drive it and have a gas saver for, you know, whether it be quoting jobs or doing whatever. Plus, I've got a whole bunch of other projects on the go right now. If you watch a couple of my other videos, you'll see the one where I'm doing that full house that was destroyed. Basically, the whole interior was wrecked. I'm doing that right now. I was there all day yesterday. And not only that, but I'm doing the bathroom at one of my rental places. There's a video going to be posted on that, if not already, depending on when you're watching this. So you'll see that as well. So, you know, a little bit at a time, and, you know, Rome wasn't built in a day, so I'm trying my best to get everything completed, but I'm tapped out. Like, I'm totally done time-wise. So, you know, it'll be a damn miracle when I get this thing completed. So basically what I'm going to do is I'm just letting this, I'm going to clean up the shop a little bit here because it kind of got wrecked again, and I'm going to block out this body filler. I'm just going to smack the bottom sections with the DA because, you know, they're as good as they're going to be. The door lip was bent, you know. It sucks, but again, it is what it is. So I'm going to block these out. I'll smack the bottom with the DA just because they're down there. You're not going to see them wobbling at you in the sunlight or anything. There's a little bit of an indent down here below the door handle. I'm not even going to try to mess with it just because it's really, really minor. You got to catch it in the exact right light. And again, I'm not going to mess with it. I feel that if I get into that, I'll just be kind of splitting hairs. Okay, well, my first coat here all locks up. I'm working on this tie rod. I want to get this damn thing done. You can see in here the severe bend to the tie rod right here, and then and a weld because it was snapped right off, ripped right out. So I'm just gonna yard this thing out of here. I just spun the tire off. I'm gonna smack this out. I'm gonna throw a pickle fork style separator in here because I don't care, it's junk tie rod. And then I pull the boot back and see if I can get it off the rack. Haven't done one of these before, so I'm not sure how hard it is, but I guess I will see soon. Okay, quite honestly, couldn't have been any easier. Sometimes inners are easy, sometimes they're tough. So I pulled the boot off. There's a clamp way back there. I got it from underneath the car. You can kind of see the new clamp down there. No, you can't. I can. And so I pulled the boot back, and then there was the old bent up tie rod. This guy here. Oh, that's nice. Oh yeah. And all I did here was there's no area to put a tool on unless it's underneath this green ring. I didn't bother taking that off. I just threw vice grips on it nice and tight and gave it a quick tap with the hammer, and off it came. Put the new one in with a deep dab of thread locker, and it actually had a flat spot for a wrench. And I just steered it all the way one way so I can get it in, and it ends up like right here. So it's in a pretty good area. You can get a wrench and it just swings down here. You don't need a special tool. So that's done. Now I'm just loosening off these bolts here, the sway bar, and the 3-bolt up top in here. And I'm gonna pull that strut assembly out and get that strut changed out. So there'll be no more bent suspension. So with the strut assembly removed, this one's the one that's got a little bit of a bend in the bottom here. We're just gonna squashed these down, I've tightened them down. You can see that it's released the pressure, spring's loose now. And now I'm gonna undo that bolt on the top. Don't ever undo that bolt on the top without the spring compressed, or bad things will happen. So I'm gonna do that, just undo this. This all comes apart. This is a bearing. Then you got your bellows here, or your boot, and your spring. And it just goes back together in the same way it comes apart. Pretty simple and straightforward. Just line up your spring on the same spots on these, because there is stops on these rubbers on the top and bottom. This is why you inspect all your suspension components and any collision damage. I'm also replacing this top bearing. It doesn't appear to be damaged, but because the strut took a hit, it only makes sense. But you can see, I'm not sure if you can see it on the camera, this one's clearly bent over. So it got hit. This side of the suspension got hit. So I inspect everything, and this is what we came up with. So I'll quickly switch over this shock and boot and bump stop. And it goes pretty simple. This is your stop. So this just goes on here. Then your spring assembly slides back down, but if you look here, there's no rubber here and there's rubber here, so you got to transfer that rubber over, put the spring so the end of the spring is in that stop, put your top back on and torque it down. So I'm really cruising along. I don't even have I don't even have this quite dry yet, and this is done. So the strut and the strut bearing is replaced. I just got to shove that boot back down. That's not a problem. And I got the inner tie rod and boot replaced. Everything's all bolted back up, nice and straight again. Now I have no idea where the wheel alignment should be. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put this jam nut most of the way back, and I'm just going to thread this on about halfway now. Reassembled here, and everything's ready to go. I've left this jam nut here loose because there's a part you can put a wrench on, and when you turn it in or out, that's what extends this to move your tie rod and steer your vehicle. So for now, it's gonna sit where it is, and then I'll take a measuring tape to the front and the rear of the tire just to make sure it's, you know, somewhere in the ballpark of close, and then get a nice wheel alignment on it so it'll go down the road properly. Oh yeah, no more bent wheel. So it's all back on, back down on the ground. It was off a little. I just centered the steering wheel and did a, I don't even know what it is, a Steve alignment. Visual, we'll call it, just to get it close. It was visually looking down the car, towed out with the steering wheel straight. It's probably still visually towed out a little bit, but it's too damn hard to tell now. So I gave it one full turn on the tie rod to get it with the wheel straight. The other wheel looks straight. This one, the steering wheel straight, the other wheel looks straight, this one looks straight. You know, like, is it wheel aligned? No, not at all. Don't even think that. But what I'm gonna do is I'll take a measuring tape and go from this groove to this groove, and then from that groove to that groove on the other tire. I'll set it to zero, as close as I can get it to zero toe, because I don't know what it is. I'm not an alignment guy. I just want to get it close enough where it'll go down the road semi-straight and not burn the tires off. And the first stop after its inspection for Ontario will be an alignment. So that's got to get done. So this looks great though, because before this thing had a ton of camber to it. Now it's got a very minimal bit of camber, same as the other side, less in the back. Well, visually the same as the other side. Still could be a little bit out, but looks good to me. And this door is all dry and ready. I'm gonna wet sand this so the paper doesn't clog, because this primer's still probably a little So I'm gonna go over it, I'm gonna block it down with the wet sand, and then I'm gonna clean all the other parts, mask everything off, and start shooting my base. It's actually been a good day in the grand scheme of things, because just to put it in perspective, when I showed you all the parts, that was the beginning of the day. Now we're, oh god, 2:30, something around there. I didn't get working till 11. So pretty good considering what I've got done here, and I'm just happy to have the suspension proper. I did inspect that old bearing, the upper strut bearing, and it was okay. It had some dirt in it, so it was making some gritty noises, and after I blew it out, it was fine. So, but who knows? You know, when the suspension takes a hit like that, it's a good idea to replace anything you know that took a hit. And I know the hit was upper part, like the tie rod and shock, so I figured changing all of it was in order. Looks like I made a good decision, even though I haven't had an alignment rack yet. Nothing looks crazy anymore, so I'm sure it's going to get close enough to where it'll have a good alignment on it. Okay, so doors in base, fenders in base, bumper cover and mirror are in base. Now all I have to do is I'm gonna dampen the floor down a little bit, give this another 5-10 minutes, dampen the floor down a little bit more, and come in and pound the clear coat on everything and hope that it doesn't all run onto the floor. But I'll keep you posted. It's the first time looking at it. Oh, that's real nice. What I got there? Oh yeah, bug right in there. Otherwise though, everything looks smooth, shiny. Little dust is the worst I see, which is typical for this shop. Hey, nothing run onto the floor. One little worst bug flew right in there. But I'll give this door a quick polish and that'll get rid of bug and, you know, any major dust. Looks like it turned out pretty good though. So I'm pleased. I will pack her in for the day and be back out here tomorrow to assemble everything. Okay, so the bumper's semi put back together. I couldn't get these last few clips in yet. Well, I could, but I was really having to force the bumper, so I'm gonna warm it up a little bit. But it's starting to look like a bumper cover. We've got a good shine on the bumper cover. This was a refurbished one, just to let you guys know. It actually was like broken into like 3 pieces and it looked like they welded it, like plastic welded it. I'm hoping it'll hold up. There's one little indent here, but you know, like for the price and for the availability, I'm pretty happy. This was new. This thing was like 60 bucks. And then this chrome ring around it was 160. Like, luckily those side chromes are there because this bumper cover now, I'm into it for the damn thing for like $500 something. Like, it's pretty crazy. But it's, you know, like I said, this car ended up costing me a little more in parts than I thought it would, but luckily I got a good enough deal on the car that it offset that. But just so you know, if you're ever working on a Fiesta, the front bumper stuff's expensive. So I've got the door panel on. This was salvaged from the old door. Luckily, it wasn't destroyed in the accident. And I just finished putting the last couple connectors on and clip that piece on. And see, there you go, there's the door. I'm just getting the back hinge bolts. I'll show you here. If you look at the hinges, there's a bolt here. Then there's this weird goofy stud nut thing. Same thing on the bottom. There's a bolt, no stud nutty thing on this. But then there's this here, and this is a bolt that goes through on the other side. So these are studs. And it's a real pain, but you can get to them. The bottom one by just undoing this plug and then you feed it through here. I've already got that one in. The top one's a bit more of a pain. You got to go up through the glove box, pull away some sound deadening material. There's a little rubber plug. You do that and then away you go. So just to let you know, that's where you got to be at for that. So it's coming together though. I'm going to get the rest of the bumper cover assembled once it warms up in here. It's pretty damn cold. It's probably around 0 degrees Celsius right now. And then this fender will go on the front here. And then I can polish it out and deal with some of the dust and whatnot that I got. You know, this door's not 100%. It's still got little, like, it got pretty banged up. Like, it's a bit twisted. So it'll do though for the price of the car. But like, again, if I was doing this job for somebody, which I wouldn't because I don't do this for somebody, but let's say I was doing it for somebody for whatever reason, that door to me would be unacceptable. You know, for my little car here, it'll be fine. And then once I get the fender on, these connectors here were ripped out, and these are for the little lights. There's some little LED running tube lights that run in these pockets in here. You can see the little gap. These are what they look like here. They just pulled out of the connector. So a friend of mine de-pinned them just because I don't have a de-pinning kit. He de-pinned them and he just soldered on like 4 inches of pigtail. So I'm going to just find out the polarity there because they're LED, it does matter. And I'm going to wire those back up. Obviously, they're going to be needed for inspection. And I got to get this buttoned up today. So I got to get it polished. I got to get my ghetto wheel alignment done, but I'm going to drive it over to this side of the shop because I'm running out of room on that side to work. So I'm going to do my little ghetto wheel alignment. And then it's going in for inspection. I'm bringing it in tonight, and it's going to have inspection tomorrow.
You know, I already know it's going to pass inspection. I'm not concerned about that. It's just, you know, it's a technicality with licensing, of course, to get your inspection done. So I'll keep moving along. I'm going to get that fender test fit and whatnot in a few minutes here once I finish addressing the bolts. And then once the fender's on, this bolt's a real pain because it's behind that little glass here that goes here. So you got this little glass, and then there's one of your fender bolts under it. The service manual tells you to just pry out on the glass a bit and turn it with a box end wrench, and it's slotted, and then you could slide the fender off. It'd be much easier to install the fender without that glass on there, so I'm gonna do that. And then yeah, everything, all the electronics have tested. The window goes up and down, powered locks work. The mirror moves, the mirror signals. Like for example, you know, the new mirror. Oh, there we go. Oh yeah. So we're coming right along. This thing's gonna be drivable as of tomorrow. You know, I got a busy day tomorrow. Don't have really a lot of time to do anything with it, but it's gonna basically, I'll have the plate sitting in my truck and just be able to start driving it as of tomorrow. So, you know, we'll see how the fuel economy is on it and keep the miles down on my truck. So reassembling the door is pretty straightforward. Toss your mirror on. That was the black mirror, painted green now. Toss the mirror on, there's a screw right in here. The wire comes through here, plugs into the door. The door panel goes on just by plugging in your tweeter, hooking your door handle up, and hooking your window switch up. And then a couple clips in the top here. And then just screws through these little holders here, and then that's it. It just pretty much goes on like that. All right, so bumper cover is all put together. A little bit of heat from the wood stove helped the plastic soften up enough where it went together without crazy amounts of force. Okay, so got the fender fit. I need to do a little bit of adjustment right here, but I'll do that after I get the rest of the front end together because I could play a little bit. So fender, door, mirror, the back door. I gotta put the chrome strippy to do right here, put this window on, but I have to switch over a chrome piece because nobody had the window used with the chrome belt. They only had it with the black, and the door came with the black belt, but I could switch that over. So I got the inner fender liner in, pretty straightforward. It's just a series of clips. And then these clips eventually go into the bumper, and then they tie up this little piece to the bumper, which is some sort of a splash shield of some sort. And you know, you get a couple clips here, clip here, clip here. There's one more still to go in here and one more to go up here, but I'm gonna wait because this one looks like it might have something to do with the headlight, but I don't know. I don't remember. There's the one splash shield. I'll do the other one. Front splash guard on, which is reinforcement for the bumper, so don't mistake it for something you don't need. You know, there's a few reasons you got to put that on there, and I actually had a hard time finding that through Ford parts. And what that does is that just goes under here, and it clips to the lower rad cradle, and then clips to the bumper cover, and it does two things. First of all, if you catch something on here, you're going to rip that bumper cover right off, and you know, with that expense I told you with the bumper cover, you don't want to be doing that if you can avoid it. The other thing is it keeps crap from getting all up in there, so and the bumper from wiggling. So it's a reinforcement and everything. If you actually feel it, it's a pretty robust piece. Like, it's definitely going to add rigidity to the bumper. It's pretty solid plastic. So that is necessary, and that was ripped to shreds. I didn't even know what it was supposed to look like. But it looks to me like the bumper just clips into it here and here. I think this actually might have to go on after the bumper now that I'm looking at it, but it looks like it clips to the bumper here and here, and then one little screw, and that's all you get. But that's what supports the bumper. So maybe what I'll do is I'll hang the bumper cover, and then I'll put that piece on next, which I'm about ready to hang the bumper cover now. Okay, so I stand corrected. Much easier to put the bottom flap on before the bumper goes on, and you can kind of pull and stretch it so it goes on. There's bolts that would be like hidden by everything if you didn't do that. So the order this goes on is fenders, bumper, headlight. Headlight last. These little lights plug in under the headlight. If you're ever replacing a bumper cover, you must save this piece if you're getting a new one. It doesn't come with it, and it's riveted on with a plastic rivet. You don't need to re-rivet it, but what it does is it sits down like this, then your screws go through the fender into this, and it buttons everything up. So this side I've got all buttoned up. You can see everything lines up pretty good. It's starting to look like a car again. I'm gonna get everything buttoned up, and then I'm gonna run a full light test. The bumper is simply held on by push clips. There's one here. I'm just missing the piece for it right now. There's one here. There's one here. And then there's one here and one right here. These just hold the grill to the inner grill. So you don't need to take these ones. And then a couple screws at the bottom, and then of course the screws on the side here. And they're a pain in the ass. They're gonna be much easier on this side with the fender liner out, but I put the fender liner in first over here, which I shouldn't have done because it made putting those screws in a lot harder. Okay, so this is all buttoned up here. There's another little guard here. All the plastic little buttons are all installed, and that's all ready to go. Next I'm gonna glue the window on and glue down the couple little pieces of trim that have broken tabs while I have the urethane out. I'm just using a regular primerless window urethane. So I'm gonna get going on that. And then, I don't know, I guess just put this guard in this side. It's all fastened underneath now, properly. You can see it's got dust all over it. And then I'm gonna bring it down, I guess color sand, align the wheels quickly, color sand this side, and take it for a little test drive down the road and just see how she goes. So to put the window back in, I gave it a really good cleaning here with a brake clean and wiped off the residue. And then I cut back the urethane that was on the old window, because otherwise, if we strip it right down, we got to put a primer on it. But I'm going to do the quick method, and that's to just run a bead. So the stuff I have is just basic window urethane. I've been warming it up over by the stove. Urethane, primerless. So I'm gonna put a nice big gobby bead right here, stick it on there, put a couple pieces of tape to hold it, and I'll let that lock up for a couple hours. But basically it's just big fat bead, stick it on the window. If it's too big, it'll squish that way or that way a bit. There's lots of black material there before the glass, so I'm not worried about squishing even out to here. Hell, who cares? So I'm just gonna gob it right on there. Okay, one more time. Needs a really good wash, but here's the finished product. Like I said, it's pretty dusty dirty right now after sitting in the shop for 2 weeks and body filler dust flying around, but this is the finished product. Turned out nice. Everything looks good. Thanks for watching.